Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Marketing Automation Made Simple podcast. As always, I'm here to take the stress out of marketing and automation because let's be honest, the business world is already complicated enough. If we want to cut through the noise and actually attract more customers, we've got to keep our strategies simple, smart, and human. And speaking of smart strategies, I've got a really exciting guest on the show today. Jason Van Orden is someone I've been wanting to chat for a while. I've been following him since 2014. He's been helping coaches, consultants, and thought leaders grow their businesses for over 20 years. And now he's all about using AI in a way that's actually helpful and doesn't make your brand sound like a robot. In this episode, we're talking about how to use AI like a real business advisor, one that understands your goals, your values, and what makes you unique. Because scaling your business shouldn't mean losing your voice or burning out along the way.
Hmm.
So let's get into it. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Yeah, hi, thanks. It's so great to be here.
Yes, I said I've been following you since 2014, and I remember commuting to work every day before my bumper leads days and always tuning into the show. What does it called? Internet Business Mastery.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, that's so cool. I always love it. Yeah, hearing, bumping into, and of course, we've talked in the last few years too, but yeah, it's so cool to have the nostalgia of back when people used to listen to that show. It's great.
I know, and things have changed so much. And so I'm glad to have you on the show to talk about how the world of internet marketing has really changed in the last 20 years because you've been really through this all of your life. Could you share more about your background so our listeners are familiar as well?
Yeah, so just in a nutshell, I left a job as a software engineer because I knew I was not employable anymore. And what I mean by that is I knew I could not work for somebody else anymore. And so I struck out on my own, not really knowing exactly where I would end up. And through a very windy path, ended up where I am today. Some of the key milestones are I learned to market years ago in the 90s when I was in bands. I had rock bands and I wanted to market my rock bands. And then when I quit my engineering job, I got into real estate investing. But what I ended up doing more was helping real estate investors with marketing so they could find buyers and sellers. So I figured out, oh, I have some good marketing knowledge that people know here. And that's what led to me teaching my very first like workshop or seminar that I recorded and turned into a product. So like in 2004, I was like printing out manuals and burning CDs and mailing them to people, selling them online. And then I discovered podcasting, and that's what led to Internet Business Mastery in about 2005. And as Jeremy and I, my co host, we just started as, hey, two guys who are both doing stuff online. He was selling on eBay. I was doing my marketing consulting and my marketing course. But very pleasantly surprised that within a couple of years, it became a top 10 business show. And so that turned into the primary business, helping entrepreneurs create a business online that was meaningful to them and that gave them freedom while making an impact. And left that business almost 10 years ago now, just needed a change. And so I just shifted to working with coaches and consultants because I've always really enjoyed helping people, really smart people with important ideas that can make such a difference to reach the people that they can serve best by helping them to package and communicate and organize their unique expertise. And of course, AI does a lot of things, amazing things in that realm. But yeah, now I'm a growth strategist and I work with my clients to help them unlock that next level of income and impact, make their offers more scalable, refine their messaging, help them define their signature method. And now I infuse AI into all of that as well to just do it better, faster, easier at the same time.
Yeah, I definitely know all about that being a consultant myself. It has transformed our business to say the least. And I also see my customers, they're still not as open to the idea of AI. They feel a bit overwhelmed and scared. So I wanted to ask you about how can AI actually make life easier for business owners, other consultants, coaches? What do you find?
Yeah, I'll tell you, I talk to my AI business advisor, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that, but it's very customized to my business. And I'm bouncing stuff back and forth all day long. And you're fortunate to have a business like with your sibling, and to have, sometimes we're just at home alone doing our thing and we're like, there's nobody to talk to or bounce things off of. And so whether it's strategizing, brainstorming, creating all kinds of things, I'll just throw things at this AI, or I'll turn it on and hit the mic button and just talk, and it can organize my thoughts and ideas. But more specifically, some of the biggest places that I've been able to use it in my business is creating and repurposing content, because it has my entire content library of my key ideas and content. So I'm able to like grab ideas out and reuse stuff that might have otherwise been lost or that I might have forgotten about years ago. So my content creation is much faster. I use it in outreach and sales messaging and emails. Often we get stuck. Oh, what should I say to this prospect that I want to follow up with? Is it too soon? Is it too? And when I get in my head about those things, I'll just give it a bunch of information about the person, tell what I'm trying to do. It already knows my business and my offers. And I'll be like, hey, give me 3 or 4 ways I could approach talking to this person to see if they're ready to move forward or something like that. I've also used it to extract ideas from, like I said, well, I'll just talk, but then you've got all of this stuff or all this content. So, I'll say, hey, can you go find some of the best pieces for this particular goal? Or I'll use it to connect different ideas together. Here's something I've been thinking about. Here's something I've been thinking about. What's a way I can bring that together for some truly unique ideas in my content or in my offers? I use it for customer research. Like, it's so good at helping me understand the outcomes that my ideal clients want, the challenges that they're running into, the language that they use. And that just scratches the surface. But those are, a handful of the things that I do. But in a very real way, it's like having an assistant and also a second brain based on my brain that I can actually talk to at the same time. It's Iron Man, the movie Iron Man, where he has Jarvis and he's in his lab talking to Jarvis, and Jarvis is talking back and giving him information. And he's just like creating and making stuff and able to just operate so much quicker. In a way, it's like having my own little Jarvis in my home laboratory of my business. And it's a lot of fun.
Like a butler, concierge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you give me a second? My cat was in the
Mhm.
room and now
Yeah.
he wants to go out.
All right. Sure. No
Now,
problem.
when you were talking about tools and what you were using, I'm assuming you're using ChatGPT and you're customizing that.
Yeah, I use primarily ChatGPT and customize that. I use other models for very specific things, but that really is my home base because I've been using it for years and have a lot invested in it now. But a lot of the ideas that I share with my clients, if they prefer Claude, they can also use Claude. But yeah, my preference is ChatGPT.
Yeah, yeah, I do find I was testing a few of them, and I was testing it with some complex business problems, like complex problem. And I have to say that OpenAI had the best outcome. And you still have to know what you're asking it. You still have
Right.
to be an expert. But I know that a lot of the consultants and coaches, they feel like the urge, they want to learn, they want to do something with AI. They feel a bit overwhelmed. What's one simple way to start using AI if you're a consultant or a coach without getting overwhelmed?
Yeah. So one of my favorite things to have my clients do is a bit of customer research. And you want to do it very specifically, because if you ask the right questions, you can get like the exact language you want to be using, or you can get some really great ideas for, say, like lead magnets or content, or figure out what might be missing in your offer. And so what you want to do is start out by just describing, here's the person that I ideally want to work with. And so it might be, I'm a coach, I work with adults who have ADHD, and I want to help them to learn skills and systems to be more productive and just have more well-being in life, like something like that. But then I'll ask questions like, what are the top 10 outcomes that this ideal client wants to attain? And then I might say, okay, what kind of transformations do they want to go through? And we'll start giving those ideas. And then I'll say, what's some of the language that they might use to describe these things? And so you'll get some phrases and language. And then a really key one is to ask, what are the challenges or things that are in the way? So if they're like over here on one side of, let's say, like this cliff, and they want to get over to this treasure box of outcomes over here, and let's just imagine there's a big chasm or cliff here in between. You want to understand, okay, what's inside this box that they want to get to, but what are the reasons why they've not been able to get over there yet? I'll say, share with me, what do they think is getting in their way? What are some of the concerns or fears or risks that are holding them back? And what are the things that they don't realize that they need to know that would make a big difference for them if they understood them when it comes to reaching that outcome? And that last question right there will give you gold when it comes to a lead magnet or content for gaining the attention of new potential clients. So that's a really powerful one. And the reason why is because then you can take all that information and sum it up, put it in a document like either Google Doc, or it can be a document on your computer. And then you've got that to attach to any AI prompts that you make. For those who are in the know, you could also make a custom GPT. If you don't know what that is, don't worry, just use it as something to attach, because if you're going to create content or you're going to design an offer, a course or workshop, it needs to understand very precisely who it is that you are trying to serve, trying to find. And so when you can just immediately give it all of that context, you're going to get such better output in terms of whatever it is you're trying to do. So that's one of the most powerful ones that I described. Gives you all that information, and then you have this asset to put back into the AI as you continue to work with it.
Yeah, very good, very good. I used it just recently with a startup. They were stuck on the idea of branding, what they should brand or just create a logo or just some kind of brand experience. And I had this idea at 2 a.m. in the morning, and we're targeting baby boomers. And I
Mhm.
thought, how can I tell this story so emotionally and sell the idea of what my idea of a logo is to this board, the board of advisors that I'm part of? And so I did just 15 minutes before the meeting. With my idea, I wanted to portray something emotional, and I wanted people to go back and think about their journey from the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and how the future looks like for the baby boomer with the idea
Yeah.
that we have. And I just typed in whatever was coming to my head, my vision, what I was seeing it.
Yeah.
And then I connected my video editing tool to this GPT. Oh,
Oh,
and the instruction I'd used was I wanted to sound like Mad Men. Have you ever watched Mad Men?
yes.
And I wanted Donald Draper style.
Nice. I love
How
it.
would Donald Draper do this? And it was perfect. It was perfect. I did not change a thing. And so I connected that with the video editing tool, and it
Yeah.
automatically created. I used this
Wow.
script to edit. It created beautiful images, and the story and the AI voice sounded like Morgan Freeman reading
Oh, wow.
this.
Wow.
And
Cool.
15 minutes before my presentation, I did that, and I presented it, and they were just speechless. They were
They
like,
love it. Yeah, I love it.
"Wow,
Yeah,
wow."
what a great idea. That's such a cool use case. And there's one thing that you mentioned in there that's really so powerful. Like you're like, how would Don Draper think about this, or how would Don Draper describe this? And you can do that with a lot of things. For instance, the other day I was on a drive for about an hour, and I thought, hey, I'll use this time to think. And so I just, had my phone. I started the voice mode, so I was just talking to it like it was a passenger next door or sitting next to me. And I said, okay, are you familiar with Dan Sullivan's 10x is easier than 2x book? And it was like, yeah. And I said, give me the key principles and action steps. And it's like, okay. Da, 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 da. I was like, great, perfect. Help me to apply these principles and action steps to my goals and vision to figure out what is a 10x exponential move that I could make in my business right now that I'm not seeing. And then I described the vision of where I wanted things to be in a year. And the point I'm trying to make is like, how many times have we had read a book that was awesome and we've forgotten like all the cool stuff that we learned and we don't know where our notes are or whatever? Or how many times we like, I would love to have Seth Godin consult me on a project. And in a very real way, you can tap into that, have the AI act as Seth Godin or think or apply this book to this problem or goal that I'm trying to achieve. And especially if you've trained the AI to know all the other things about your business, like who you serve, what you do, what your unique value proposition is, what your offers are, what your marketing is, then it's able to just take 10x is easier than 2x and everything it knows about me and my business and just start creating magic with those two while I'm talking out loud. And later I can tell everybody where they can get a resource to easily create this customized business advisor that knows your business super, super well. But anyway, yeah, I just, when you said that, I'm like, yeah, that is another one of my favorite things, is to apply a book or an expert's knowledge to a specific problem or goal that I'm
Yeah,
working on.
I think we can talk about that now because my next question was about how can you make this Donald Draper or Seth Godin. What if we have advisors and coaches doing that for their clients and saying, hey, this is how, if you have a question, if you're stuck on something, this is how Jason Van Orden will do it. Ask
Yeah.
it to prompt it in that way. Yeah, so how do you make sure that AI sounds like you?
So what you want to do. So you're talking about, like, if I'm making something for clients to use that's
Yeah,
based on
well,
my
maybe
stuff.
educating your clients about your expertise, your IP, and they can leverage AI.
Yeah.
Or how do you make it sound like it's you so that people can start using ChatGPT and saying, I want to write email copy like Jason Van Orden?
Yeah. Okay. A couple things. So when you're creating a custom AI, you basically have two things, right? You've got, and I don't need to go too deep into it, but you've got like your instructions, which tells it like, here's how I want you to interact with me. And then there's the knowledge base. Here's all the stuff I want you that about me, I want you to be able to access, and my content and and so if those things are put together really well, that's where the magic can happen. And here's a key thing, two tips I can give. One is train it on your writing style and voice. And it's actually pretty simple. It's never going to be like 100%. Maybe we'll get there, but like I can get it pretty close. And one easy thing you can do is to collect a handful, let's say, probably I'd say 3 or 4 examples of your writing, like a kind of like pillar thought leadership stuff, maybe a few examples of your sales kind of stuff, a few examples of your emails, and you can give it that and say, I need you to analyze this and give me a prompt back that I can use with you for you to be able to understand and emulate my structure and style and tone and voice. And so it'll analyze that and give you your analysis. And then that analysis you can use in other prompts, or you could use it to create a custom GPT, for instance. The even more powerful thing, yeah, I love that example you gave earlier with the video. And like I was able to get on a phone call with a client recently and blow her away with this analysis of a 20 email nurture sequence that honestly would have taken me a couple hours to really go through myself. But I was able to give her not just any old AI analysis of her nurture sequence, it was still me, because I have organized my approach to things as a bunch of frameworks. Like I have a framework over all the years I've been coaching. Like I have a framework for a nurture sequence that works. I have a framework for creating or assessing a lead magnet, a framework for coming up with a strong messaging hook that will catch attention. When you have a framework and you hand a framework to the AI and you say, use this framework, apply it to this thing, or use it to assess this thing, you very quickly, what would have taken me a long time took me 5 minutes in my voice, using my approach and all of my philosophy, the stuff that I had been teaching her, directly on her nurture sequence. And then it was just a matter of put it into a Google Doc, maybe polish it up just a little bit, and off it goes. Assess your writing and then use it to tell it, here's how I write. And organize your stuff into bits of frameworks that then you can easily apply either to your own stuff inside the business or to client stuff outside the business. And sometimes it's a 2-page Google Doc with a bunch of like criteria and questions and things that it's applying. And sometimes it's a very simple, like 3-part framework where it's like, hey, you need to apply this thing. But when you think in those ways, that's where you can really duplicate and scale your expertise, because you don't have to be in the room or on the call or talking to someone, like, in order for the AI or somebody to be able to use that piece of your expertise and knowledge. So that's a really key thing that is going to be important for using AI to scale.
Yeah, no, that's a really good tip for everyone to follow. Sometimes I find that you have to be almost an expert in copywriting or be really good at copywriting. Do you find that your clients also need to have some kind of knowledge around that if they are a subject matter expert?
Yeah, so usually I'm able to give them either one of my frameworks, or like if you were to ask ChatGPT right now, give me the top 10 copywriting frameworks for writing a really compelling email. it would come up with a bunch of them, the things like the problem and agitate. And the cool thing is like AI knows all of these different approaches to copywriting. So as long as you give it the context, so who you're trying to speak to, what you want them to do, and it understands, again, your business, your audience, and then you say, hey, I want to apply Dan Kennedy's whatever approach to write a sequence of 3 emails, like the AI, again, it will mash that together and it's really good at finding the sweet spot that applies all of that stuff. So it's okay, we're going to take Dan Kennedy, like if Dan Kennedy were here and alive today writing my email and he knew everything he needed to know about my business, obviously it's not going to be like exactly if Dan Kennedy wrote, but it's going to be pretty darn good, I think. And so, in fact, I've been able to do that a lot of times. So if it's really mission critical stuff, I'm not saying we've replaced copywriters. It's always, in the end, it can always be worthwhile to hire somebody to look things over when you really got to get every percentage point of conversion that you can. But as a great start, when you might not have the money to hire a copywriter and you don't have the time to study copywriting, as long as a few key approaches to copywriting that would work well for your voice and values and approach to marketing, that's where you can, yeah, make some magic happen without having to master a copywriter yourself.
Yes, yes. No, I completely agree with you. I'm just trying to think of some examples that have happened recently with me. Is that if I still, as a business owner, I still want to outsource. I don't want to be doing things. I don't want to be stuck there prompting ChatGPT to write email sequences. I want to be doing more podcasting or creating or meeting clients and delivering value with clients. So there are some tasks that we want to be mindful of as business owners that we want to outsource. But recently, I've been going through some challenges, as I've explained to you before, and I had to find the right advisor to help me. And in that process, I spoke to, let's say, 10 people to help me, 10 really qualified experts. And they were very expensive, time consuming. They all had very different ways of qualifying me as a customer. And it took forever to find one. And so I went into ChatGPT and I said, I can just do this myself if I prompt it correctly. And what would be helpful for me as a business owner is if there was an advisor or a coach who actually embraced AI and who wanted to use AI to help you get the outcome. It would be awesome if you have an example of somebody that you've been working with where they've applied their AI skills that you've taught them and how that transformed their business.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a great example actually. And there's a lot of reasons why I like this example, but one is because this is someone who would say they're not like the most technical person. It's not like they're a tech programming whiz. Somebody who's very much an artist, wants to do the human approach and is going to be a little bit skeptical of technology and AI. But I did get her to go for it and try out an AI based solution. And what finally got her to try it out was that she was writing a book. And this is a book she'd been working on for a few years, but it had just been stuck because like she'd get a little bit done and then get distracted and maybe resisted. And so it was just kind of like in this on and off for a little bit and not really getting to where it needed to go. I'll tell you what we did here in just a minute, but the result of it was that the book is now done. She's got a top publisher that's going to be publishing it. It's coming out at the end of the year. She's already got like 80 beta testers reading pieces of this book and filling out a form to elevate that manuscript to another level. And this is all stuff that, so not only was it like getting the book done and finished, but now she's doing stuff with the book and to prepare for the release of the book that she wouldn't have had the energy or time to really do. Things like finding grants and writing grant proposals for authors who are writing book to maybe get money to help pay for the process of writing her book. Like she wouldn't have done that without having the AI to help. So what we did, and she calls her AI Anne. I love giving my AI advisor a name, but hers is Anne. And so we designed Anne and I showed her how to put it together such that knew her writing voice, knew who her ideal audience was, knew, what all the pieces of her expertise were, knew what her values were, so that like it would, in any decisions and things, it knew where to, because there's a lot of different ways to do business and we bump into things all the time where like, that's not me. I don't want to do it that way. Anne knows the way that she likes to show up and do business. And we put together the instructions. We put together the knowledge base in a way that she could add to it if she needed and everything, but that the AI had access to all of this stuff. And that's why she was a. And the book did not just write for her. She still wrote the book. But if you think about creating, just think for a moment about creating one piece of content, there's a lot of things that go into that other than the actual writing. Come up with the idea, do some research, maybe create an outline of it, go and gather bits and pieces. Ideally, maybe look at your past content that you can reference or point to. And okay, and then we write it. And then there's editing. And ooh, how could I make this have a better hook or a better subject line, or and the publishing and the promote. So AI can help with all these other pieces of the puzzle. Even if it's not exactly writing for you, she was able to get the book done because she had this advisor to just bounce things off of that really knew her body of work. And so it would help her reference things that she had forgotten that she wrote a few years ago. She's like, oh, that's perfect. I'm going to include that in the book. Just as one other little example, there's numerous things that then it empowered her to do to have this AI. And now I think this is going to be a game changer for her and her career and her industry. And I'm just really excited that the AI was able to help accelerate and amplify this whole
Yeah.
process because I took the time to put that together and then show her how to use it in a way that felt good to her. And now she uses it all day, every day as well, and in her business. She uses it for other things now too. How can I need some partnerships. How should I do that? And so it's been
You've
exciting.
inspired her to start thinking outside of the little box.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that idea. But now I'm thinking I really wanted to write a book myself, and I've been thinking about this for 5 years. And now you've explained it. It's like it's not that hard. You can ship your ideas really fast.
Yeah, and if you right now, I'm in the process of transcribing like tons of videos that I've had over the last few years from my programs, training videos, Q&A videos, mastermind sessions, and all these things. And so, yeah, I'm putting that into a knowledge base where I can start talking to it because I want to write a book too, but I want to find, hey, what's the piece of what I somewhere in all my stuff is like some golden nugget of an idea that will fill a niche in the business or marketing world, but I can't remember everything that I've written and done. And how many of us are sitting on all of this content and all these ideas, some of which we've forgotten we ever made. And imagine like not losing any of that, like a leaking bucket anymore. It's like you've got it all there. And now I can go and talk to it and explore it in new ways and connect it to other things and find, here's the idea for the book that I want to write, for instance. I just think it's very exciting. It's like the the movie Limitless, where Bradley Cooper, he is the down on his luck writer who takes the pill and suddenly he can read really fast and learn really fast and make connections and think, and it feels a little bit like that sometimes.
You need a chat GPT pill or something. I think the future will be that, yeah, we'll have open AI taking over some of the phones and devices. And I think that will be the next level. And can you imagine what you can do with that as an expert, as an
Yeah,
advisor?
it already feels like we're living in the future. Who knows what the actual future is going to bring? It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. So can you tell us more about, because I'm really excited about what you've been doing with AI. Can you tell us more where our listeners can find you, what you can help them with? I know
Mhm.
there is a special AI coaching you do.
Yeah, so now I've made it so that all of my programs and coaching, like AI is coming into it. As long as you're open to it, we're going to create prompts where I'm going to train you. We're going to create, but very specifically, putting together this second brain is one of the things that I do for clients. Now, if you like that idea and you want to try it out in your own business and kind of an easy, small way to do it yourself, I've got a workshop, and it's an actual workshop I did with clients, 90-minute workshop, and I give you a template for instructions and I tell you some of the things to pull together for a knowledge base that you could get started with. And so you'll find that if you go to jasonvanorden.com, some just like my name on the screen, jasonvanorden.com/AI, and that'll forward you to a page where, if you want to just name an email, and bam, you'll get access to those tools as well as the workshop that you can go through right away. And then, yeah, the next level of that is when you like really want to build your Jarvis, that's where I'm there to help with. And not just in the technical side, but I've already, like, for the last 2 decades, I've been helping experts to package and organize and communicate and deliver their ideas as efficiently as possible create their signature methods and their messaging. Now it's just a matter of, okay, now we're going to also wrap that in AI to just amplify and accelerate it even more. And then, yeah, so those are a couple of things that people can tap into.
Yeah.
I really need to update my site. Things have been going so fast, and like none of this AI stuff is really on my site yet. I really need to, but that is one place, yeah, you can go and get
That's
and
right.
tap into what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'll include that in the show notes. But yeah, the workshop sounds amazing. I think our listeners should really sign up for that because it's almost, I'm imagining myself. I've been following you, as I said, since 2014, and I think you're an amazing copywriter. And I've learned so much as a marketer. You've been teaching me so much through podcasting. If you are looking to improve your business, amplify your business, accelerate your business as a coach, consultant, I would highly recommend you check out Jason's workshop.
I
Right.
appreciate that. Thank you very much. I think it's so cool that now I'm on your podcast after all these years when you listened to my podcast, and now here we are, and I love it. It's so cool.
Yes, I know. I love it. And you also have a podcast, right? You still have a podcast. It's a different one.
Yeah, it's been on a break for a little while. I would love to get back at it. I did start a new but I think with this stuff, I think I'll probably retool it or maybe even launch a new one. But yeah, I did after Internet Business Mastery, I had a podcast for a while that I was recording that was about how to scale your expertise and monetize it in the world. And that was even before AI came around. We'll see
Mm.
what this next round is. But every time I do one of these interviews, I'm like, man, I would really like to get back to recording my podcast again.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, you're
exciting.
inspiring me.
Yay. Thank you so much for joining me. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.